Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of Turnbuckle Podcast. And today, Turnbuckle Talk presents to you the Monday Night Raw review. We have Jerry Lawler, him finally speaking out after his stroke, as well as the NXT card for tonight. So we got a lot to get into, obviously. So, without further ado, let's hop right into it. I still got to pull up the NXT card. Tonight is NXT Homecoming. It is going to be a show to watch. If there's one show you watch of NXT, it's going to be this show. Well, I guess we got a new member of the Turnbuckle Podcast here. I don't know why I keep saying Turnbuckle Podcast. It's really Turnbuckle Talk, because that's what the sign says. That's what the name I came up with. But, alright. Starting off the Monday Night Raw review. We are in the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield, Massachusetts. Cena opens the show. We see Cena come out, and Alicia Taylor introduces him. Cena says that Lesnar was one of his toughest opponents, and the reason he accepted the match between Lesnar is because of the Thank You Cena chants. So once again saying that he's accepting a match because of the fans. Cena says that he is afraid of Brock. He says that once again. So that kind of doubts what I think about Cena coming into this match at WrestlePalooza. I think that's probably the last thing I wanted to hear him say was that he was afraid of Lesnar once again. This being the last time we're going to see them two talk about each other before WrestlePalooza. I don't think that was a good touch to say. But, I think it's just going to be a fairy tale story. Obviously, Brock has to win. There's no way that Brock can lose this match, I believe. I think that Cena has to lose. I think that Brock coming back is so big, and Cena's retirement tour cannot overshadow Brock Lesnar coming back. So I think that Lesnar has to win, and that would just make Lesnar an even bigger power. But it would be cool if Lesnar defeats Cena at WrestlePalooza, first ESPN pay-per-view, but then we see Cena's last retirement match be against Brock, and he finally beat Brock. I don't want it to be against Brock personally. I think it should be a little bit of a better surprise, but if it is, I wouldn't be mad at it at all. Cena says that he took Lesnar's best shot so many times in the past and he's still standing. So saying that pretty much Brock's best shot cannot put Cena down. He ends by saying if you want some, come get some. So going into WrestlePalooza, yes, this was a good promo, but at the same time, you want Cena to be hyped up, excited, and ready to go against Lesnar, but now he's just saying he's afraid of Lesnar. He's saying that again, and going into WrestlePalooza, I think Lesnar has to win. He's back. The retirement tour cannot overshadow Lesnar coming back. So, honestly, I know the WrestlePalooza predictions will come another day of the show during this week, but for right now, I'm going to give you all a little early prediction. I'm going Lesnar, man. I think it has to happen. A little fun fact they showed on the screen. It was the fun fact of the night. This Saturday, Cena will be going for his 100th PLE win. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully he gets his 100th PLE win, but just a little fun fact to throw in there. Jey Uso and LA Knight were arguing in front of Adam Pearce whenever LA told Adam Pearce what he wanted in a match with the Bronze, and Adam Pearce told him to pick a partner, and LA Knight picked Jimmy Uso. Then we would see Jey tell Jimmy to not accept a match against the Bronze with LA Knight, in which Jimmy couldn't really say much because he already accepted the match a few minutes earlier. We would then see Lyra Valkyria take on Roxanne Perez, and I can't lie. I thought that the match was going to be a little bit better. I know it was a spectacular match, but I'm probably getting flamed in the comments. Yes, the match was great, but honestly, personally, I want more out of Roxanne and Lyra. They're the two of the best women's in-ring workers in the WWE, and I feel like they could put on a better match than that. I love how Raquel got ejected early just because she was probably going to be the one to ruin the match if it got to go that distance. But it only got to go about 6 minutes, and then it was over. So I think that overall, the match was pretty cool. We kept it technical throughout the match. Roxanne kind of got flashy. But overall, Lyra defeats Roxanne with the Nightwing, and this is putting Lyra higher up in the ranks. We know that she defeated Raquel 2 weeks ago. Now she defeats Roxanne. What's next for her? I think we've just figured out. Raquel and Roxanne end up attacking Lyra after the match, where it would cause Bayley to come back and save Lyra Valkyria. Probably the worst decision of the night. One of the worst decisions in 2025, in my opinion. We make all these cinematics about Bayley being lonely and missing out and not having any friends, and then we bring her back to be with somebody that she has faced in the past, that has really gotten on her nerves in the past, And things get even more interesting here because not only does she come out and save Lyra, she goes around hugging everybody. So that tells me we're going to get the huggable character back. But then we hear in the backstage area in Bayley's locker room, we hear a whole bunch of commotion going on. Lyra walks in, it's just Bayley sitting there. So, is it the voices still talking to Bayley? Yeah, it's gimmicky, but it's also WWE, you know? But could it be the voices talking to Bayley that is causing all this commotion that you hear, but whenever you actually walk in, there's nothing going on? That was pretty interesting to me, because that unlocks a lot of story. So, I thought that was interesting. But then Bayley, she acts all cool at first, and then she just starts screaming at Lyra. So this is a completely different side of Bayley. She has that switch she can turn on at any moment, but then whenever she's really out there, it's just going to be huggable Bayley. That's what I'm going after. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. But overall, awesome segment. I loved the match. I loved the after. I just don't like what we're doing to Bayley unless it's unlocking a huge storyline with the voices and all of that. I would love that. Next up, Penta would face Kofi Kingston in a match that I thought should have been better than it was, just like the last. Penta and Kofi, two great in-ring workers. Penta, one of the best male in-ring workers in the WWE and in the world in general. I thought it was going to be a little bit better, but it was alright. Penta started off with the offense and pretty much kept it throughout the whole entire match. We saw some hilarious comments from Xavier and Grayson on the outside whenever Penta would go down. In the end, Penta would defeat Kofi Kingston and with the off-the-ropes Mexican Destroyer. So now, where we know that the Mexican Destroyer was the normal Mexican Destroyer was his finisher, but now we're seeing the off-the-ropes one, and holy cow, it looks so good. I know we've seen it a few times now, but now it's starting to get into a routine, and I love it, man. I think it's one of the best finishers in the WWE for sure. I love how he just goes backwards on the ropes first and then turns around and hits it without even touching the ground. It's so beautiful. But yeah, I think Kofi definitely should have lost this match. I did predict Lyra to defeat Roxanne, and I did pick Penta to defeat Kofi Kingston. So 2 for 2 so far. We would see the AJ Lee, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Becky Lynch face-to-face before WrestlePalooza. Rollins and Becky would come out first, and Becky would say that she doesn't talk about people behind their back, and that's whenever AJ and Punk come out. Punk would say that he's going to put Cult of Personality on the shelf to let Light It Up play, so that's a big W. I think that I was kind of getting tired of Cult of Personality, which you really can't, but Light It Up's, in my opinion, better than Cult of Personality. I'm probably going to get flamed for that in the comments, but Punk says that Becky and Seth don't know how to share the spotlight and asks if their egos are going to get in the way at WrestlePalooza, in which Seth would say no, but then we would see them completely get off the same page. Rollins would tell AJ that Punk shouldn't have drug AJ into this and shouldn't have brought her back just to come into this match. We would see Becky bring up that AJ's book. In AJ's book, she mentioned how her neck has been damaged from pro wrestling, meaning that she's probably going to target her neck on Saturday. Rollins said that Punk has a nasty habit of leaving when things get hard. So once again, talking about how he left WWE, went to the rivalry company in AEW 10 years after. So things are getting shaky in this rivalry here. We then would see Rollins say, obviously, that stuff about Punk, and then we would see Becky get in the face of Rollins. And Rollins would say, or AJ would start slapping Rollins around just like that Becky did to Punk. And we would see Rollins say, I know somebody who will. The same thing Punk said whenever AJ come back. But Becky didn't get it. Becky was just waiting there. She was looking around like, anybody else coming? So then Rollins and Becky get into it. Looks like they're not on the same page until they really are on the same page. The best couple is always on the same page. So then we would see Seth have to run around with Punk following him until eventually Becky would get an opening at AJ Lee where she would hit him with the manhandle slam, and then Rollins would get out of the ring before he gets hit with the GTS to have Punk and AJ stand tall, but Rollins and Becky scurry away. So, decent segment. I think that everything on the show could have been better. Everything. Every single minute detail could have been better. But as a show in general, it wasn't horrible, right? But yeah, I think that the segment right here was probably the best of the night. I think that At first, it was a bit awkward, but then having Punk, AJ, Rollins, and Becky all in the same ring instead of just AJ and Becky going at it on the mic is better, with all of them going against each other instead of just one, because it leaves AJ in a weird position where she doesn't really know what else to say. And we kind of noticed that on SmackDown last week. So I think that it's the best thing to do to have AJ and Punk together in the ring in a promo battle with Rollins and Becky instead of a one-on-one with AJ, because personally, I don't think AJ's that great on the mic, but she does have some good moments. We would then see Dragon Lee versus El Grande Americano. We would see Dragon hit some insane moves in this match, showing his athleticism once again. But Americano would win with the help of two Americanos as well as AJ Styles. So AJ's getting thrown back into this. So that's the stuff we're going to be seeing now. That's pretty interesting. We know that the news reports have came out like a month ago saying that AJ and Dominic feud is going to continue, which is telling me now, since Dominic is your AAA Mega Champion, I think it's definitely locked in now that we're going to be seeing AJ Styles win that IC Championship, which is a blessing, so I'm super glad. We would see Stephanie Vaquer face Kairi Sane, which will get announced backstage earlier in the show. They looked equal at the start, but in the end, Vaquer looked dominant and took out Kairi Sane. But after the match, we would see Asuka get in the ring with Stephanie, about to go hand-to-hand combat with Stephanie Vaquer until eventually Io Sky would come out and stop Asuka from doing that, and we would see a handshake and a stare down from Io and Stephanie. So this is getting me super excited for WrestlePalooza. The match is going to be great, and it's just going to determine who is the women's world champion, and I think that's the biggest part. Another early prediction for the people who are watching this episode, I'm going with Stephanie Vaquer. I think it's her time. Io has obviously been the MVP of this year so far. She has been an insane talent in 2025. So I think that Stephanie winning this title, we know she obviously at one point carried 2 titles in NXT. She came to the main roster and has not won a title yet. So I think it's important for her to win a title, and her first title on the main roster being a world title at a big pay-per-view like WrestlePalooza would be huge for her career and a good kickoff to her main roster run. So I love that, and I really hope Vaquer wins at WrestlePalooza. We see Io tell Asuka backstage that she needs to do this on her own once again, and Asuka speaks something that is clearly not English. Can't lie, I thought that at the start it was getting kind of annoying, and then these past couple of weeks I've been kind of getting used to it. Asuka saying all these things every single week is just getting on my nerves. Nobody knows what she's saying. It's just getting really repetitive and not something that is fun to watch. So I think that overall the segments are not good between these three here. But Kairi just looks like the middleman. Kairi just looks like somebody that she is completely out of the loop. She's trying to say sorry to Io, but at the same time trying to be friends with Asuka. She's just not there. And she never has been, really. She's never been somebody that I would bet on winning a mid-card title or not even a world title, nowhere near. So I don't think they're doing anything with Kairi. They brought her back for no reason. I was there for her first debut match, and the match was decent, but it was against Rhea, so you can't really have a bad match with Rhea Ripley. We would see Raquel say that Roxanne will take care of Lyra. So that meaning that Raquel and Roxanne will be going back after Lyra, and probably will get a tag match with Lyra, Bayley, Raquel, Roxanne. Pretty simple. We would see Finn confront Dominic about the El Grande Americano stuff and how Dominic's been hanging around El Grande Americano, which Dominic would say that he's just trying to get him on our side or whatever. Then, the best part about this whole segment, Rusev would confront Dominic and say that he will be the next IC champion. So that's the biggest part. We're going to see Rusev go after the IC championship after defeating. We would see him win against Sheamus and have that huge win in that rivalry against Sheamus. In a great rivalry, by the way. But now, it's good. He's finally setting his eyes on the title instead of just battling Sheamus every week. The match is going to be good. I don't think you can have a bad match with Dominic as well. I think they're just two great talents in Rhea and Dominic. But now we're going to see Rusev take on Dominic, and it's just going to be a battle. I think that there's only a certain amount of percentage that can go against Rusev and have a good match, though. Like, obviously, we know Cena had a decent match with Rusev. We know that we had Sheamus have a great match with Rusev. But you have to be a hard hitter to have a great match with Rusev. So I think that Dominic will not have an awesome match with Rusev, but it'll be a match to rewatch for sure. We would then see in the main event the Braun Breaker versus Bronson Reed take on LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. We had equal offense during the whole entire match, but then we would see the Brauns defeat Jimmy and LA Knight, and after the match, Braun would spear Jimmy until Jay would come out with a chair and fend off the Brauns and save Jimmy. We would see him check on Jimmy until eventually Knight would get in the ring and grab the chair. But then the fans would start booing and he would throw down the chair and we would get a handshake from Jay and LA Knight until eventually Jay would turn around and get hit with a BFT. This was the only part that I was happy with, obviously. We've had the Brauns in the main event of Monday Night Raw for about 2 months now. 2 months straight. I think you could look at the results of every single week from the past 2 months and you were going to see the Brauns in the main event. It's getting on my nerves a lot. I think it's something that's going to get very, 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 very repetitive, and I think we're going to keep this going for probably another 4 months if I had to guess, because there's no way we're taking them out of the main event now. It's just getting so boring, man. We're just having them main event every week just to get fans excited. And yes, if you're going live, you want to see Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed in the ring to face whoever. But it's just getting repetitive. Now I ain't even excited for WrestlePalooza match where the Usos are going to take on Brauns, because there's just no point in getting excited. It's probably just going to be the Brauns winning, which is 100% going to happen. The Brauns are going to win at WrestlePalooza because Jay and Jimmy are not going to be on the same page. So we're probably just going to get another lackluster match at WrestleMania 42, and we're going to see another lackluster match between Jay and Jimmy. Cut you straight. But yeah, very, very, very lackluster Monday Night Raw. If I had to give it a If I had to give it a rating, I would probably give it about 6 out of 10. Not something I was very impressed with. We would see Jerry Lawler speak out after suffering his third stroke. He would say, I remember lying in the bed in the hospital, and when people that I knew, like family members, came in, and I didn't even recognize them, people kept coming out of nowhere to thank me and pray for me and everything, and all that means a great, great deal to me, and I want to thank them all for that. So obviously, he's in high spirits after his stroke. That's not something to play around with. So I'm glad he's good. I'm glad he's okay. But we know here, this article says the stroke was Lawler's third, having also had one in 2018 and had another in 2023. In 2012, during an episode of Monday Night Raw, the Memphis Legend suffered a heart attack at the commentary desk after taking a series of elbow drops from Ziggler in an earlier match on the show. We all remember that. So now, 2 years later, he's having another stroke. This will be his third. So he's had some health problems, man. That's tough. I hate that. But yeah, now we're going to get on to the NXT Homecoming card to end out this episode of the Turnbuckle Talk podcast. So, I'm going to scroll down here on the takedown. We are going to see Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Valkyrie, and which should have been Tiffany Stratton. Now she is getting replaced by Lyra Valkyria because she is not cleared to wrestle. I want to get into that first and foremost. Why is Tiffany not cleared to wrestle? I don't know. I don't think it's from the Jade Cargill match. People are saying it's from that moonsault on the outside, which it definitely could have been, but she didn't make any reaction on her knee or anything like that after that move that would make it seem like it. I went back and rewatched it last night, and it just didn't look like to me after that moonsault or at any point of the match she was selling that knee or that leg or anything that would have caused her to be out of this NXT match, a huge NXT Homecoming match. So I think that there's no reason that she should have been out, but at the same time, it's like we kind of got to respect it. But I am excited to hear what the injury is, if it even is an injury, or if it's just a minor injury that they do not want her wrestling for the NXT Homecoming card for. We know Eva announced it last night. And I just think that overall, it's just so tough. But at the same time, you're having somebody from the same type of era, with quotation marks for sure, and Lyra Valkyria, who was a long-time women's champion in NXT, to take over Tiffany's spot. And if there's anybody to take over that spot, I think Lyra's the best thing. So then we would see Rhea, Stephanie, and Lyra Valkyria take on the Fatal Influence and JC Jane, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix. Another match for Jasmine. I'm really excited to see how she matches up with all three of these main roster stars. I think she can really do great work, and I'm excited to see how JC looks against a main roster star, to see if she's ready for that main roster. In a 6-woman tag match, I think it's going to be an awesome match. I am going to lay down my predictions. I think it's obvious. I think we have to have the OGs of NXT here win. I think I got Rhea, Stephanie, and Lyra defeating JC, Fallon, and Jasmine in this match. Next up, a match that is obviously not going to go to the NXT ones here. But it is Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley taking on Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss for those women's tag team championships. It's obviously going to be Charlotte and Alexa winning this match, but it's so cool that Izzy and Tatum gets the opportunity because they've been really burning on NXT. They've been really doing great stuff after becoming a tag team with the Culling, finally accepting Tatum Paxley into the group. And now she fits in super well, and I'm excited to see how she matches up in this tag match against main roster stars. And I'm excited to see how Izzy Dame looks, and I think that's going to be the best thing about this NXT Homecoming tonight, is to see how these NXT superstars match up with the main roster stars, and this is how Sean's going to see if they're really ready. And I think that, I know Oba, he doesn't have a match, but he is on the Grayson Waller effect, so this will show Sean a little bit more about his promo work, and I hope he does get called up. We will see Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, the OG duo, take on Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa in DIY. Man, I can't lie. I really, really, really want to pick Trick and Carmelo here. Trick, obviously being the TNA champion, I think that he's very dominant, and I think that Carmelo really needs a win, but I think this NXT Homecoming card will not affect anybody. It doesn't matter who you lose to. You're going against an OG. If you're in NXT and you lose, it doesn't matter. It's not going to affect you because you are still in NXT. So honestly here, I'm going to take a shot in the dark. I'm going to go with Trick and Carmelo. I cannot pick against them. They're probably one of my favorite duos of all time, and I really wish I would have just realized that they were such a good duo whenever they were a duo instead of just thinking it was another week of boring Trick. But it's okay, because now we're seeing them both at a completely different level, and Trick has completely overshadowed Carmelo, and y'all know how big of a Carmelo fan I am, and I just said that, so Trick completely overshadows Melo now, and it's hard to say. But yeah, I got Trick and Melo. We will see Tyler Breeze take on Ethan Page for the NXT North American Championship. We have never seen Ethan or Tyler say a word to each other, but last week Tavion defeated Ethan in that flag match where we would see Tavion grab this American flag and defeat Ethan Page. But then we would see Tyler Breeze get in the ring and take a photo over Ethan Page's laid out body. Ethan Page is going to win, but it's cool to see Tyler Breeze back. You know, it's cool to see him back. But Ethan's going to retain. It's just going to be I think it's just going to be a comedy match. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a squash match, but with the amount of matches on this card, I think it's not going to be. But this is everything that's going to be on the card besides backstage segments, I believe. Because, I mean, there is 4 matches on this card. So it's pretty filling night. And then, lastly, like I said, Oba Femi and Ricky Saints will appear on the Grayson Waller effect to say more about their rivalry and more about their match at No Mercy, which is going to be a banger, by the way. And it really makes me wonder, does Ricky Saints have a chance? Does he? I think he might. I think he might have a chance. But if there's anybody who's going to beat him, I think it's going to be Javon. I think Javon is the next up. Just like Sean said, he's the future of NXT, and he's going to be a barrier and somebody that's going to carry NXT throughout every year going forward. So I think that he's going to be a staple of NXT whenever he finally becomes a champion. But obviously now's not the time. So I hope y'all enjoyed this Turnbuckle Talk episode 9. Man, I'm really enjoying this. One thing I got to say. I know I'm loving doing these every single day, but my phone storage is literally running out so fast. So I might just have to buy more storage because I really love doing these episodes, and these are long episodes too. So without further ado, I really hope y'all enjoyed episode 9. I know this was a pretty short one, but hope y'all enjoy NXT tonight. I will be doing a review on that tomorrow, or maybe tonight if it's a huge show and something huge happens. But without further ado, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all boys in the next one. Deuces.